I think the biggest challenges for market participants with SFTR is a few different things actually. First of all is just the sheer amount of data that has to be reported, 153 fields of data. So that's an awful lot of data to be reported. The second problem with that is the fragmented nature of the data. So it doesn't all reside in one place. No one player has all of the data. So you're going to have to find a mechanism to pull in the delta that you don't have from other market participants. And then I suppose following on from that, the next part of the challenge is really to consolidate all that data, get it into the ISO 20022 XML format and report it to your trade repository, and all by T+1. So that's pretty challenging. I think on reporting start date you can reasonably expect a high number of exceptions. It's, with any regime like this that's complex as this, it's a process of learning by doing, and no matter how well you prepare, there are elements that are always going to be unforeseen. So I think that there probably will be a large number of exceptions. However, I think there are reasonable grounds for optimism in terms of data quality. We've got the implementation of the ISO 20022. Now that's undoubtedly will be painful for some market participants, but then what you have is you have inbuilt validations in that, which helps to ensure higher quality data. And then the other thing we see, particularly in the SFT world, is that you have a lot of natural intermediaries that are effectively scrubbing data upstream of the trade repository. So I'm talking about trading, reconciliation platforms. So by the time that data gets to the trade repository, it's already been through a process, a heightened level of validation and data scrubbing before it gets to the trade repository and the point at which it could be rejected by the trade repository. Another reason why I'm optimistic, I think, is that the SFTR regulatory framework is actually more precise and has had the benefit of following the EMIR regulation. So actually, I think as a piece of regulation, as a regulatory framework, it's tighter and better. I think a number of things have been learned since EMIR was implemented. I mean, you can look at things like phased implementation. So with EMIR, we had a great big bang on February 12th, 2014. What we see with SFTR is a phased approach based on counterparty classification. The adoption of the RTS, as we all know, they've been delayed somewhat, and that's given market participants a bit more breathing space to prepare. And I think one of the things that really strikes me, and from being in an event like this, is that the level of market consultation prior to the regulation going live is much higher, it's considerably higher. So you have events like this, and then you have a lot of engagement through ICMA, ISLA, ERCC working groups. So with EMIR, we saw a lot of that consultation process taking place after the regulation had been brought into force. I think in the SFT world, my impression is that market participants are generally just better mobilised and better prepared. The reason why participants should choose REGIS-DR as their trade repository is that we're actually in quite a unique position. So not only do we, through our pedigree as a trade repository, have that regulatory reporting expertise, but also we're a sister company of Clearstream and Eurex. So within the group, we have considerable expertise in securities lending, repo and collateral management activity. So that's one element. The second element, really where we differentiate ourselves from our competitors, is best-in-class service support. So you might envisage that we're talking about data and it's machine to machine and it's STP, but actually the reality of the situation is there's a lot of exception management that needs to be taken care of. And in order to do that properly, you really need a trade repository provider who's going to be responsive and is going to be able to assist you in that process. And that's not a given. You have to select the right provider. And I suppose the final reason why I would say in the context of SFTR why you should choose us is because we've got really flexible account models. So we already, through the EMIR regime, we already support a number of different models where reporting is either delegated, partially delegated, or somehow assisted. So we've got lots of different models that I'm certain will cater for all of the different types of reporting flows that we're likely to receive from market participants under the SFTR regime.